Welcome to WagerTalk Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and walk the walk. It's Monday, kicking off a new week. We got a full slate. Gianni's going to bring the Steam report. Crackman's going to drop NBA and early college basketball insights. Steve Merrill's got a big job today. He's got Cardinals, Cowboys. We're going to talk Florida, Arizona college basketball, and we're going to do NBA Mavericks and Rockets. We got football. We got hoops. College basketball starting. And we're going to talk about a fixed fight. Unbelievable. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and now we have one that actually happened. So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Hit that like button. Let's get started with Gianni. Gianni, happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. How you doing?
Yeah, I crushed college football once again, 10-5. Broke even in the NFL. Won more games than I lost, but I lost my 5% on Houston, which really pissed me off, because I was going to roll that over into Monday Night Football, but instead I got to fire a couple 4% tonight instead of a 5%, because I really like this Monday Night Football game. But, you always got to manage risk correctly, too. And right now we're nicely ahead in NFL, really nicely ahead in college football. So no reason to take on more risk when you lost a big bet. Like, there's no reason to put that pressure on you, just psychologically. So I'm excited about tonight. College basketball tipped off today, already fired 7 premium plays. There's a 6-pack for you available at WagerTalk with 3 4% in college basketball, working with the same groups that got me up over 130 units so far in college football. So hopefully it's a repeat performance. And real quickly, if you go over to WagerTalk.com, there's 2 free premium plays for you, both in tennis. One's a 4%, that's a dog. One's a 3%, that's a favorite. If it's a little chalky for you, we also laid the points. So we laid the chalk on the favorite, but we also bet them at minus 2.5 games, minus 120. So if you don't like the money line, you could lay the games if you want to jump on board. So yeah, 2 free tennis plays for you. And busy day. Monday Night Football, college basketball, NBA, the college football rankings coming out, those phony things. So
that's your favorite.
Great week of action for us.
That's got to be your favorite. That must be like a stand-up comedy routine to you. You must look at those rankings and just laugh.
Yeah. My man Anthony, dude, the last 2 5% that my quarterback got knocked out of the game. Both the last two, bro. One in college, one in the NFL. And in the NFL, I'm still, 60% on 5%. Hit 3 of 5 of them. But yeah, Houston should have got there for us yesterday. They even had the ball in the 4th with a minute left. Like, you're not supposed to lose that game, but at home.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. Got to shake that off and move on to today.
I believe Dan was going to go 5-0 in the super contest if the Texans covered. Instead, he went 4-1. So, bummer. All right, let's talk a little college basketball. It's first day. How are you approaching the start to the season? What are some trends?
I'll tell you, I keep it real. Early on, I simply piggyback the betting groups that I work with until I form my ratings and my rankings like I did in college football. The first few weeks, I'm forming them, putting them together for myself, and I strictly piggyback, and then I start implementing my own stuff too and my own opinion. Like, I've been researching college basketball the last probably 3-4 weeks. I have an opinion, but I trust the groups I work with more early on, especially talking to bookmakers who all say this is the scariest month for them. This is where they're most vulnerable in college basketball, where, that the numbers are going to move significantly on sides and totals, and volatility in the market shows you just how beatable it is. Like, when numbers aren't moving, it's a tight market. It's tough to beat. NFL, perfect example. It's tough to get line movements there. But when you're seeing college basketball like today, we're betting a team like Ohio State at minus 29.5. minus 30, and now it's minus 35.5, 36. Rest assured, that's a very beatable market. That kind of inefficiency is exactly what you're after. You're not getting that 5-6 weeks from now. That much I promise you, unless a player's injured. That's not going to happen. But this first month, I'm hoping we could get out nicely ahead like we did in college football, where after 3 or 4 weeks, we have a shitload of units And then we could just coast and do some damage. But let me read off some of the steam today in college basketball. And here's what's going to stick out to you. We're not afraid to bet favorites, undervalued favorites early in the season. Later in the season and even mid-season, you'll start to see us fade in these teams. But early on, we're not afraid to bet 856 Kansas minus 29.5, 874 USC minus 24.5, 786 Ohio State minus 30, minus 31, Alabama minus 31, 32, 33, 34. Not afraid to bet those kind of big chalk. 782 St. John's minus 24, minus 25. 882 Seattle minus 12. 878 St. Mary's minus 12.5. You hear the theme. A lot of favorites. So let me throw a dog or two out at you. 867 Montana State plus 13. 819 App State plus 1. That's flipped. They're now the favorite. Florida Atlantic, they're now the favorite, but that got bet as a dog. And 775 doesn't look like it if you look at the screen, but we bet it off screen. 775 Northern Arizona plus 10, plus 9.5 and 9. So you got a lot of college basketball information right there. Hopefully you could do some damage with it. Like I said, I'm excited about college basketball because the guys I'm working with this season that weren't there with me the last two. So let's go. Let's do some damage this year.
Do they focus on a certain conference, or do they focus on do they get specific with everything?
Great question. As the season progresses, it'll start to move into smaller conferences in extra board games. Like the Kansases, the Wisconsins, they're not going to get our money. If anything, we'll be looking to fade those teams as the season progresses and they're ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when we'll start betting the, Miami, Ohio's, the Bowling Greens, smaller conferences. But early on, it's pretty much open season. The whole board's yours. But yeah, great question, because that's exactly where the value lies after. It's in the extra board. Perfect example in college football. Me, who's a volume guy, it was hard for me to fire 15 plays this week in college football, and 3 of those were extra board. So I only had 12 sides and totals from that huge board. And for me, again, that's low volume, but so much of it was in the extra board, and I can't use them because the lines move too fast. I could have sent out 30 extra board games on Saturday. That's how many extra board games they were betting, and that's what's going to happen in college basketball too as the season progresses.
Yeah, it's something I try and stress in the props betting market, and it works. Try and get as niche as possible.
Yep.
Try and go after these props and these smaller colleges that the books are just not going to have the knowledge that you are. There are some college. I bet your group knows more about these basketball teams than the books do, and you can't say that about NFL.
For sure.
You can't say that about NFL. They got
specialists in there working this like that. Yeah, they know these teams. That do nothing but college basketball. So while we're betting baseball and we're betting other sports, they're still focused off season on college basketball. That's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell people when you're betting props, just try and focus on a conference or a division or a few teams. I promise you get to know a couple teams, you'll crush the props betting market. You don't have to be an expert in everything, and quite frankly, you can't be an expert in anything. Let's talk a little. Can you do NBA? Do we want to talk in a little NBA?
Yeah. 3 sides stick out the most because, again, with the NBA, you got to be careful. It's one of those sports where so many middles are being worked by the betting syndicates. I talked about it a lot. I keep repeating it so you don't get fooled into piggybacking moves that you think are sharp, because they're doing a lot of middles in the NBA. Very few real positions. Most of the true positions are coming on player props, team totals, first halves, second halves, a lot of second halves, a lot of live NBA action. Pre-game, few sides, few totals that are legit. So I'm going to stick to 3 sides that are sticking out. Multiple groups, not seeing any buyback, seeing follow through. 558 New York Knicks, minus 11.5 and 12. It's up to 12.5 right now, but there's still 11.5s on the board. 561 Detroit, minus 4. That's still available, and 4.5 on the board. Reason for that, enough public money on Memphis, home dogs. And last but not least, 570 LA Clippers, minus 7.5. That's even still available at some shops. over Miami. So Knicks, Detroit Clippers, 3 favorites, legit moves in the NBA. Public, I'll tell you real quickly, I think there's 1 or 2 games that they were all on in the NBA. And first was the Pacers. They love the Pacers as home dogs. Don't know why. And they love the Mavericks. The Rockets over the Mavericks, laying 12 and a half points. Those are the 2 biggest that stick out. Pacers, home dogs. Rockets, big home favorites.
Yeah, I'm a Pacers fan, and I don't know why you would love the Pacers at home.
Right?
They basically have a starting lineup out with injury.
And when there's Monday Night Football, NBA don't get much action. It really does.
Yeah. My Pacers, you actually could make a pretty good NBA team with who is out with injury. That's how many,
every day. It's hard to follow the sport, bro. With the injuries, with the sitting out, it's a very hard market to beat. I know just because with the groups I work with, they're so selective. Like today, I bet 7 college basketball games, probably 17 or 18 altogether for those guys. I bet 1 NBA game for them. That was it. 1 total. That's all we bet that I gave out to subscribers. But we don't really do all that much NBA. But when I do see NBA, I get excited because, like, if they're firing NBA, it's usually a strong play. It's usually getting out ahead of injury information, that kind of stuff. But always time sensitive, unfortunately.
Any interest in any of these opening lines that you're seeing in NFL or college? Any sudden moves that we need to take note of?
None really jumped out. I mean, we have Alabama playing LSU this week. Always a big game, regardless who's good, who's not. And this year you have Alabama as double-digit favorites, already getting public money. That's why you're seeing some shops are up to 11 with that instead of 10.5. That's an interesting game to see how that unfolds as far as the action from the betting public. In the NFL, nothing really. I like to wait until today because that most of it is the look-aheads. We finally saw Indianapolis not get a cover. They're getting faded again. The look-ahead was 7 all the way down to 5.5 now. So finally, it seems like the market, at least that's what it seems like, they're starting to believe it's catching up with Indianapolis Colts. And what else is sticking out? Nothing really. Nothing yet. Good primetime games. Pittsburgh Chargers and Philly and Green Bay. 2 good primetime games next week. And getting New England as a dog, interested to see how that one gets bet because Tampa money came in immediately. The opener look ahead was 1.5. We're now looking at 2.5 juice. So money coming in against the New England Patriots, who, have been the betting darling for everybody.
All right, Gianni, let's talk a little bit of UFC. It was not an exciting card.
No.
But we do have to talk about the allegations of there being a fixed fight. Here's what we know about the timeline, and I want to get your thoughts here. Isaac Dolgarian versus Yair Del Valle. So here's what we know. A while back, Dolgarian does a podcast, and he says something to the effect of fighters should get a portion of the bets that are bet on that fight. Not a great look. He opens as a really big favorite. By the time the fight starts, it's basically a pick'em. So we have one of the most aggressive line moves you're ever going to see. He goes out, he tries to shoot a takedown, it doesn't work, and Dolgarian is known for his wrestling. And the position gets reversed. He really gets mollywopped, and he ends up getting submitted in the first round. Sports books then take note. They notice, wow, there was a lot of money bet on round 1 Del Valle submission. There was a lot of money bet on Del Valle money line. Some books have decided to refund their customers. Others have said, nope, we're just leaving it as is. And within a day, Dolgarian gets released from the UFC. So I guess, Yanni, your knowledge, what's going on behind the scenes here at UFC, and what's your take on this crazy situation?
Well, the thing you got to remember is, like, they're independent contractors, these fighters. They're not UFC employees. I'm not even a UFC employee. I get signed as an independent contractor. There are very few UFC employees. A few of the hosts are UFC employees, and then it's all production crew. So these fighters are independent contractors. You got to remember that. Like, it's not the responsibility of the UFC. So if anything, like, I think they want, like, our hands are clean of this. Our fighters know we have rules. They're not allowed to bet. Now, after that, they have no control over what a fighter does. That's where the police step in. You know what I mean? The government agencies step in. And from all the rumblings, it appears that there's been a long investigation in the works, that there's been over 100 fights of late, that they saw abnormal betting patterns, and there is an investigation. Now, remember, this happened not long ago with what, a few years ago now. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but wow, it has been that long with the James Krause incident with Derek Minner, and that whole situation where everyone was crying foul, fix, corruption, line move. People made a lot of money off that information. And yet, here we are in 2025, about to turn 2026. I haven't seen any indictments handed out. I haven't seen any prosecution or anything like that. So they've had a number of years to do that investigation, and either they haven't turned up anything or they're putting something together. And when you're the government, you got to remember that a lot of times these cases take years in the makings. Like, and then all of a sudden 27 co-conspirators get indicted. That's usually how it works. And that's now the question. Are we going to see something like that? Is the federal government going to step up and send out a shitload of indictments to a bunch of people connected to the fight game that they thought it was corruption in the gambling side of it? Where I stand watching that fight, I can't tell you what the kid, again, guys that know what they're watching, they're saying he should have been able to defend the sub. He should have peeled the hand, all that stuff. When you're in a fight, again, like it's chaos. You're more or less fighting for your life. So you got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. With all that said, if a professional watches that unfolds and tells you it looks shady, I'm going to trust what they say, what their eye tells them. To me, I'd be a fool saying, "Oh, I see what he's doing. He fixed that." That's ridiculous. I don't know enough. But when you're starting to hear guys that know exactly what they're looking at saying these are basic moves if you want to survive, and he's avoiding it, yeah, you got to dig deep, man. You got to dig deep, and we can't have that. And here's the problem. It's going to continue to happen because people have gambling problems. I'm not talking about this kid in general. What I'm telling you is people gamble. And when you gamble, you find yourself in trouble a lot of times. You find yourself in the hole a lot of times. And when you have the ability to finally win, you take advantage of that. That's why it happened in the NBA. Again, these guys make a lot of money, but that doesn't mean they have a lot of money. If you're spending more than you have, if you're losing more than you're making, it don't matter how much you're making. And that's the problem, that with a lot of these athletes, when you're able to control the outcome and you're already a gambler and you've been losing because you can't control the outcome, it's extremely tempting to go out there and do that. So again, I don't know what they're going to do to fix that. It sucks for the sport, sucks for the bettors, sucks for everyone involved. But when you add human beings and money in the same sentence, you're going to have corruption, man. Sad but true.
Yeah,
how do you feel?
So you're never going to stop it. This has been going on. This has been going on since the beginning of time. Like this is not new. I didn't think it was half as bad as some of the other ones I've watched.
That's what I thought. Like watching it, I can't tell you this kid's just losing on purpose. That's what I'm trying to explain. Yeah. Like we're all fools if we're saying that shit. I don't know what he's doing. He's in a fight.
Okay, well, I will just say this. I'm not probably not going to be in the know of if a fight is being fixed or something, but I will tell you this, Gianni. A lot of times this year, the money has told us a story.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes. Trust the market. Trust the market. I was getting texts well before that fight started asking, bro, what's going on? Like I'm a UFC insider, and all of a sudden I like they're texting. Dana just texted me here. I'll tell you what he said. Are you kidding me? I don't know what's going on, bro. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea. But they're asking, like I got so many, I swear to you, DMs and texts. What's going on? So that's what I don't. Here's the problem, and I don't want to go long because I know others are waiting. But in 2025, When even people that are betting $10 a game have an odds screen in front of them. We have a free one now at WagerTalk that's only a few minutes behind. I used to pay $500 a month for that 20 years ago. You get it for free now. So everyone and their mother could look at the odds and see what's happening. Like, you can't pull that shit off if you don't know what you're doing. You need to come to a professional like me and ask me, how do I get this money down without moving the screen? Then we could do some business. But these idiots are walking up to the win counter and betting $80,000 on like a third division lacrosse game. You're going to get caught, bro. You're getting caught. Like,
well, Gianni,
for God's sakes, I think we should do a video on how to get down money and not get caught. How to cheat. I think we should do a wager on how to pick games course for professional athletes. This is how you're going to fix a game. If you really want to shade points, this is how you're going to do it and get away with it. Master class, baby.
They put 5 massive bets at the same casino at Hard Rock. It's like, what are you doing?
One after the other, all wearing, like, one's wearing the college hat, the other one the fraternity T-shirt, the other one the school shirt, and they're all in line acting like they don't know each other.
It's so funny. Yeah, one of them's got the glasses with the nose and the mustache.
Yeah.
Didn't you just bet?
Exactly.
So I will say this, guys. When I saw that massive line movement, I bet it. I bet it big. Dude, when you see that line movement, Gianni may not know, I may not know, but somebody knows.
We were on Bulgarian. That want to hear a sad story? We were on Bulgarian, and I knew it was a loser. That's the worst part. Like, you're on the wrong side. Because he got steamed, and then remember, DeVal got steamed later, and then DeVal kept getting steamed late. But he even got hit a little earlier. Remember, Dave Mason came on and gave both sides of that fight. Me and you talked about that, where he gave the one side early, the next side late. So, crazy world we live in, baby.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, when I see that in UFC or MMA, I'm betting it. I'm just following 100%, the money. So.
Dude, I trust the market. Whenever there's an injury, I don't even Google the name of the player. I just look at the line. If the line is the line's going to tell you whether he's playing or not. I trust that more than I trust any Google search.
All right, Gianni, we've gone long, but it was awesome. Tell everyone what you have up on this Monday.
Yeah, I have my first college basketball package is up. 6 plays in it. 3 of them are 4% plays. Subscribers, you guys got 7 plays. NFL, that 4%'s already in there. Package will be up in the next 30 minutes. Monday Night Football package, 9-3 on primetime games. Coming off a loser on Sunday Night Football, so we're going to turn that around tonight on Monday Night Football. And, of course, this week's college football package will go up later today. NFL package later today. Currently still number 1. We combine the two, and good week in college football. So, excited about the week ahead, and let's do some damage.
All right. Gianni The Greek, everybody, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Always make the beginning of the show freaking awesome, man. We're so lucky to have him. All right, let's bring in Bill Crackman. And Bill, you and I have been preaching about props. I'm 9-3 to start NBA season. It's, ho-hum, we're just cashing on props. And I don't know if anybody out there can hit at the clip that I hit on props and that you hit on props, congratulations to them. But you and I just keep trying to stress this is the market that you can build your bankroll from.
Yeah,
right?
The prop market is where I'm betting in upwards really of 4 or 5 times what I'm betting on a straight bet. And that's the greatest advice I can give to somebody. I know it's not fun. You're not rooting for a side. You're not rooting for a total. But, like I always say, that's more of an efficient market. I'm looking to go after something that's not so efficient because I want to, produce wins. So, and props has been a good season. Started out the gate with good NBA props also. College basketball just started, of course, today. There's a game underway, another game starting in about an hour. And I look forward to that. Going to get a full package up there today. I just put 1 play up. I'm going to have a couple more, though, at least 2 more for today. Big card today. And it's just hard for the bookmakers to get every line right when they're looking at 100-some lines. And then they have to do other things the beginning of the week now. So you remember, Monday's a softer market for next week's college football, NFL. So you're talking upwards of 200 different lines that the bookmakers have to look at to get right. And it's not going to happen in the end. When you have people that focus on certain divisions and leagues compared to just the one or two originating bookmakers, we definitely have an edge. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but we definitely have a nice edge going in. Anything can happen with these games, but like I said, we do have an edge going in because we have a better grasp on the line than the bookmaker. And what I mean by that is, just like Gianni could tell you, there's only one or two sports books that put up the line and everyone copies off that. That's a fallacy that people think there's a bookmaker in every casino or a line maker in every casino. That's not true. There's a line maker in Costa Rica that takes a bet off a sharp person and he formulates that line. They put it up, everyone copies it. Now, it doesn't mean that once in a while a book can't have a line and originate a line. Sometimes during college basketball, believe it or not, South Point put up like the tournament first, and they took bets first. And Westgate puts up lines. Definitely, I think Westgate in this town has more origination because of the bookmakers that work there than probably anyone. They put up lines first on lots of different events, and then there might be an event or two that Circa puts up a line first. So anyway, it's really not too often, though. Costa Rica control. People don't want to hear that. I know the regulators don't want to hear it. The people in the United States that are, approving sports betting, they don't want to hear that. But hey, it is what it is. Far off places are where the sharper lines do originate.
Well, let's go to NBA and let's talk some props. What's one that's catching your eye today?
Yeah, I had two of them. I want to just make right before I came on air. Okay, Harden is still 8.5 minus 20. Just like to get you a right line. That's what I'm so crazy about that. I never want to give out a line somewhere that's not available to the public. So Harden is 8.5 minus 20 on his assist. So we're going to go over 8.5, minus 120 on Harden's assist. Harden's up against the Heat tonight, guarded by Mitchell, and it's a good situation here. It's one of the best point guard defenders in the league, but Mitchell should force Harden to pass a ton tonight. So by being that good of a defender, it means the assist. I go to the assist market. So last season, Harden was over this number 29 out of 39 games. So I like his over assist with Kawhi Leonard playing also. So there's an NBA prop for everybody. We're going to have some we'll have an NFL football prop up. I didn't give it out yet. We'll have that up over at WagerTalk also. I put one game up on college basketball. At least going to have two more. I have 5 circled, but I'm so crazy about lines and numbers. I'm more than just someone that sells picks and just gives out. I want to give out the proper number. It's so key. Most people don't know this. It's so key to, if you're betting around the number 2, 3, 5, or 7's a stretch, but even 7. I worked for one of the sharpest groups in the world, and the 2 and the 3 we actually bought 2. So if you're betting the favorite minus 2.5, no, minus 2 minus 20 is proper. If you're betting the dog plus 2.5, no, plus 3 minus 20 is proper. The 10 cents is key. 10 cents extra. It's worth the 10 cents on those numbers of 2 and 3, which is very, very key in college basketball. I'll even stretch it to 5. If you're taking 4.5, take plus 5 minus 20. We'll use those 3 numbers. Not only did the guy that taught me this was one of the sharpest college basketball guys in the world, the guys at Pinnacle, which is one of the sharpest, they used to be, one of the sharpest sports books in the world back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the guys behind Pinnacle always said 2 and 3. So I knew that back then. The guys that owned Pinnacle actually taught me that. And saying, they have to charge 10 cents extra, but the real line was like 17 cents and 15 cents and 13 cents. But if they did charge that, no one would bet with them. So a lot of the sports books have caught up with that. So make sure you use a sports book that charges only 10 cents extra on the 2 or 3. I won't talk about it too much during the season. At least I'll try not to, because when you talk about it, there could be bookmakers or sportsbook employees that say, hey, you know what? Crack's saying this, Pinnacle taught him, Syndicate taught him. Why are we not charging 15 cents or 20 cents? So, again, you want to buy the 2 or the 3. Either way, favorite or underdog, if you're betting around a half a point off of that number.
Do you focus on certain schools, certain conferences? You kind of all over the place with college basketball?
You're not going to see me bet top 20 or even top 25 marquee teams too much. Just like college football. It's not going to be those teams that have lots of eyeballs on them, lots of media on them, that even if you have the beat reporter, on the socials to follow, it's not going to mean as much. It's going to be, that line's going to be pretty efficient after 1 or 2 media sources get a hold of it. And of course, these bookmakers are pretty sharp too. The reason I say college basketball is beatable is because I am betting one of the smaller schools with less eyeballs on them normally. But I'll go across the board and coast to coast though, and like, even though there is teams like Florida Atlantic, Cal Poly, I could just go on Central Michigan, Ohio University. I'm thinking of these teams, like, they're not the smallest schools, but they're definitely not up in the big schools. So I'll look to bet some of those teams too, middle range schools. And once in a while, I will have a Duke or a UNC, but it's rare. So it's a great question, Andy. All
right. Well, we got about a week to watch and catch up. Frank says the College of Biblical Studies Ambassadors game tips off in 30 minutes.
Right.
Who you like? Wow. I got the over.
He's right.
They like to get out and run, Bill. So, what do you have up for everybody on this Monday over at WagerTalk?
I can just tell you, college basketball's here, so you want to get in on a package for college basketball, plus 37 units on college basketball last year after juice. It's all 37 units. Might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but 2 units a week, 2.5 units a week, that after juice, that can equal a lot of money. So, and that's just last year. I mean, I've killed college basketball almost every year. So I would get on for a package, maybe a 90-day, or like I said to the people last week, lock up something through the Super Bowl. You want those Super Bowl props. You're going to be getting Super Bowl props. Now's the time. You're going to be getting Super Bowl props if you lock that up till the Super Bowl. But if you lock me up for anything, you're going to be getting NBA props, NFL props, college basketball. Wow, what a time to be alive and betting sports. So make sure you have more than one out too, because I noticed right here alone, I'm seeing some 1.5, some college basketball, and 2.5s in town. A point difference, that's just amazing that certain sports books have a point difference around the 1.5 and 2.5. It's not like it's 23 and 24 where it doesn't mean as much. You want to have some of the square, slow-moving sports books. Let's just face it, if you're nationwide, you want to have the DraftKings, the Bet365s, maybe the Hard Rocks. You want to have them because they get so much public money that they're forced to maybe hang that, dangle that carrot with the extra half a points. And that doesn't sound like, most people don't care about half a point. It's amazing. People don't respect the number, don't respect the juice. I do commercials for BetMGM. They have 102 juice on Thursday night, an hour before the game. Nobody cares. Westgate, 105 juice on all the primetime games. Nobody really cares. They just, a big deal. It's $5. I only bet $100, $200. It's $5 or $10. Well, over 10, 20 games, that will equal a free bet. So 10 or 20 losses, I should say. So anyway, that's about it, Andy. Look forward to college basketball. I recommend anyone to sign up, get involved now. The games start now. Softer market here. First month and a half, 2 months, softer market. But I've held my own season round, even in Januaries and Februaries, of course, March Madness for years. So, but I would get in now. Lock me up.
All right, Bill Crackman every Monday. Week from today, we'll be able to revisit, see what you're learning in college basketball. So can't wait. Have a great week, Bill.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you so much for joining us. Another Bill, this is great. I hit my first college basketball early morning degenerate special with the under on Queens and Winthrop. Did you actually handicap that? Do you actually know who plays on Queens and Winthrop and what kind of what kind of style they play? Great hit though. Hey, if it wins, hey, that's a good thing. So thanks very much, Bill, posting that. All right, we're gonna do some overreactions here, and then we're gonna bring on Steve Merril. We're gonna talk a bunch with Steve, and then I will be breaking down Lakers and Trailblazers at the end of the show. All right, NFL. Let's go over some overreactions. J.J. McCarthy is the future for the Vikings. Viking fans all of a sudden now love J.J. McCarthy after one game. And we go back to the Packers. The Packers are overrated. We can't get a good read on the Packers. Bills are ready to win the AFC. They dominate the Chiefs in the regular season. I'm going to ask Steve Merril about this one. Jaden Daniels is too injury prone to be an NFL starter. Ooh, Steve, I can't wait to get your thoughts on that one. And then Dan brought this one up. Life is better when you're eliminated from Survivor. This is a good one. You're stressed out about Survivor, and then the week comes when you get eliminated, and then the next week you're like, well, thank God I don't have to worry about that anymore.
The first week hurts, Andy. The first week hurts. But once the shock, rolls off, not having to bitch about the Packers this morning is a terrific feeling, because I 1,000% would have been on the Green Bay Packers. So my NFL life is existentially better now that I am eliminated from Survivor.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah,
my wallet
I
might
didn't
not
miss
thank
it.
me, but my soul thanks me.
I didn't miss it one bit.
I hate Survivor so much, Andy. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it again next year.
Of course we are. Well, of course we are. We're totally doing that again. All right, let's go where the books won, where the public won. There wasn't a whole lot of consensus on these, at least what I saw in Odds Logic, but definitely the books won on the Packers money line and teasers. Chargers minus the points and the Colts minus the points. And where the public won Thursday night, we got to go back there. Ravens minus the points and Rams, big winners for the public there, minus the points. All right, let's do fantasy winners and losers, props, winners and losers. And listen, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry was running. Zay Flowers is looking good. That Ravens team is now you got to look at overs for them. Caleb Williams, huge game. He was on my bench in one of my fantasy leagues, and I'm going to lose because of that. Joe Flacco with a monster game. J.J. McCarthy looked good and got some decent stats. Justin Herbert, that offense is absolutely cooking. When he is the driving force behind that, and he is a stats machine. Drake London with the huge game, over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you don't need to tune in to tell me for me to tell you that Christian McCaffrey's good, but what he's doing is just absolutely incredible. He was their leading runner and receiver yesterday. He's a stats god. We keep playing him over his receiving yards, and it hits every single week. These are client plays on Christian McCaffrey over his receivers every single week. Geno Smith and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had the second best fantasy game for a tight end ever. The Rams, like when they play a bad team, you load up on Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Dalton Kincaid had a big one, and Sam Darnold has just been really nice for Seattle. And the big losers, Cortland Sutton was not good. Keenan Allen and Kimani Vidal, those guys were disappointments. The Chargers have all those stats, and those guys did nothing with it. Jonathan Taylor getting bottled up by the Steelers, not a great look, but he was due for a stinker, I guess. The Saints are just a stats wasteland. The Commanders now, Jaden Daniels out, Rutrow, and I mean, Krosky Merritt was not looking good anyway, but now they're in trouble. Jahmyr Gibbs had a bad game yesterday. And then I'm going to put Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Why? Because the Vikings ran the ball a ton. And I wonder if these guys are not going to have a lot of stats with J.J. McCarthy, if they're going to try and do ball control, run the play clock down, don't put him in positions to fail. And I wonder if this is going to affect Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. So those are some of your winners and losers. Bruce, you need a lock. We don't do locks, but we'll do our best to try and give you some of our really good opinions. So I'll do all around the world and then Lakers and Trailblazers after Steve. Hopefully we can get you a winner here. But let's bring in Steve Merril. Steve, are you getting worried about Jaden Daniels here? This is starting to become a little bit of a trend.
You know, my strongest NFL season wins totals play was Commanders under, 9.5, I believe. And I put in the handicap, and I think I gave it out free here on the show as well this summer. I think you and I talked about it. And I said, we always lean under in NFL totals or any futures play because everything's kind of priced to how it should play out. And then you've got injury, and in football, especially the injury risk and into a key position. But I did handicap that injury risk more than ever because I've lived through too much of this. RG3, the third, went down his sophomore season with the Redskins. Daniels last year just looked so frail out there to me. I could not comprehend how he made it through the season last year. He looked like a 160-pound twig out there getting hit all the time. So I really thought there was a high injury risk, and he is such a key player to this team. But then there was also, other intricacies. I thought the Commanders were vastly overrated last year. Their defense was still bad last year. They're bad this year. And then you factor in that risk. So I'm not surprised by that at all, and I almost feel like it was somewhat predictable. And I do think it's going to be an issue going forward. You cannot play in the NFL. We saw that Robert Griffin III, and Daniels looks even more skinny and frail than he did. So can't have a running quarterback. Lamar's the exception, but he's been hurt this year as well. So I think it's just not the game plan you want for a long-term success rate in the NFL is having your quarterback getting hit all the time.
Yeah,
guys, I just wanted to say something. Interestingly enough, and this is just like weird category. I don't know if you saw that where he got injured last night was the exact same yard line, exact same down, and the exact same opponent that RG3 had his horrific injury against. And it's the same thing that happened to this Redskins team, to this Washington Commanders team. Alex Smith got injured at the same exact yard line, same exact down that Joe Theismann broke his leg.
Right. I was just going to say, I thought you were going to say
how wild
Smith.
is that?
I was going to say Theismann got hurt the same spot as Smith.
Yeah,
I've
same
never watched
spot,
that.
Same yard line. It's uncanny how crazy that is. So just something of note that I saw that I thought was just absolutely mind-blowing.
And as a side note, Andy, because this is what matters when you see my background, obviously, is that we cannot have the Commanders succeed. This is the best possible scenario for getting the Redskins back. I said last year, had they beaten the Eagles, they never would have changed the name back. I mean, if you make the Super Bowl, you're never changing the logo back. But the fact that they fell flat on their face, which was probably my strongest NFL play this season, was the Eagles in that championship game. There is hope in D.C. and the stadium. And they were talking about 2030 now, building a new stadium where RFK is right now in D.C. That would be the time to do it. So we need some really bad seasons coming up here for not my Washington Commanders to get my Washington Redskins back in D.C. in about 5 years.
Well, let's talk about a game tonight. Cardinals, Cowboys. Looks like it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. That's what we expected when the season started. So we have Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals here. We got Dallas at -3 over under 53.5. How do you break this game down?
So I did a standalone video for this late Friday into Saturday morning. We always posted about a couple of days before the games to get everyone the information. I mentioned going into the weekend that we did not know for sure who the quarterback was going to be. Kyler Murray was questionable. He had practiced this week, but he has been ruled out most likely with the foot injury. Brissett is listed as the starter tonight. And I also put it on the video. I had no problem with that. If you look at the overall numbers this season, Jacoby Brissett has a better quarterback rating. He averages over a yard per pass more. I think Murray does give more of a mobile threat against the Cowboys. But the fact remains, Dallas is one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They're bottom 5 in pretty much all the metrics I look at. And I do feel like Arizona can move the ball in this game. And I don't mind having Brissett at quarterback. He's played well the last few weeks. I know the Cardinals have lost 5 straight, but you look at some of their recent losses. The last 2 weeks, more than a touchdown dog at Indianapolis against Green Bay, 2 of the best teams in the league. They lost by 4 points in each of those games. You also look at who Dallas has beaten this season. They beat not my Washington Commanders, but then they took it on the chin by 20 points after winning by 22. They lost by 20 against Denver, lost to Carolina a couple of weeks ago. We had a best bet on Carolina in that game. Beat the Jets, who are horrendous. Beat the Giants back in week 2, who were really bad at the time, and gave up 37 points and over 400 yards to a Giants team that scored 6 and 9 points in their other 2 games on each side. Dallas can't stop anybody. And I do think the Cardinals can move the ball a little better than expected. I don't want to say Arizona's an underrated team right now because I still think they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. But this line looks fishy, and I know a lot of people like to use that term trap game. Well, not a surprise. The public is all over Dallas at -3, and we are seeing 3.5s. I pointed this out in my Fade the Public video for this weekend, that Dallas is one of the most public sides here in Week 9. We use it as a filter, but as I just mentioned, there are other reasons to like Arizona tonight, and that extra public filter is a bonus. And because of it, we're now seeing 3.5. So if you like, Crackman talked about shopping around. There is zero excuse not to get Dallas -3 or Arizona +3.5 right now, depending on which side you like. I prefer the Cardinals side, and I definitely like them more at +3.5. And I don't mind having Brissett at quarterback tonight on Monday.
It's crazy to say. I mean, somebody in this chat, when Brissett started the first game, he was like, Brissett's going to be better for the Cardinals. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
He hasn't been. He has not been worse. We can argue that, but he has not been worse. That's a fact.
That's the truth. College basketball is here. Florida versus Arizona. We got Florida -3.5, over under 163. I don't know anything about these teams. What do you know?
None of us know anything about any of these teams, and don't let anybody fool you. You could say, well, there's 100 college basketball. I think there's 50 on the main card tonight. There's 50 on the bonus card tonight. There's 100 college basketball games, and there's hardly anybody that knows anything about any of these teams. It's just that simple, because none of these guys have played together before. None of these guys play preseason games. Everybody, by the way, starts tonight. That's why there's so many games. We used to have some of those floater-in games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays before. November 3rd is the official start of college basketball. 8 a.m. this morning, we had that Queens-Winthrop game, and it's going all night long. This is the spotlight game tonight on TNT and True TV. Get Steve Merril and Impractical Jokers on True TV afterwards. This is a huge game, though, and it's in T-Mobile Arena, 7 p.m. Eastern, neutral court in Las Vegas. Obviously, a little bit of a side edge maybe for Arizona as far as travel, but Florida's the defending national champs. They were a dominant team last year, but as is often the case, you have to reload in college hoops every year. Walter Clayton Jr. is gone to the NBA. The one edge I do see for either team tonight is maybe Florida's front court strength. Alex Condon is back, their leading rebounder. Hagler. Then they also brought in a couple transfers in the backcourt. And while they're transfers, they're experienced. They got a Xavier Lee from Princeton, one of the best Ivy League players last year. Boogie Flan from Arkansas comes over to another SEC team, which is a very interesting situation. With that said, though, this is a big total because Arizona's bringing in basically an entire new cast. They have some of the best recruits in the country. They have a top 10 ranked freshman coming in. But as I said earlier, they haven't played together yet. And they have to replace leading scorer Caleb Love, who's also now surprisingly in the NBA. The total on this game briefly opened around 159, 160 at some of those offshore books. Quickly got bet up to 163.5. But then you look at the other books, like South Point opened 163.5. Bovada, one of the more square books offshore, opened 163.5. It hasn't moved. Circa, a sharp Vegas book, opened 163.5, and it's now down to 162. So my point is, if you see that opening line at 159 up to 163, you think it got smashed by sharp money. We're talking about very low limit bets that moved it. And while the pace for both of these teams were both top 50 tempos last year, it's hard to make a case for an under normally with either Florida or Arizona. I'm hard pressed to get over 163.5 now with brand new players on both sides. And as I mentioned earlier, a strong front court for Florida, which I think can also negate offensive rebound, second chance points for Arizona. So I'm going to lean Gators -3.5. I'd rather have the more experienced team, and I use experience lightly because both teams have a lot of new pieces. And by the way, the point spread hasn't moved at all, 3.5. So, very little movement on this game. I think the numbers are sharp. I would lean Florida 3.5 and would not be shocked to see this game a little lower scoring, even though the tempo might be there. Could also lean to a lot of turnovers from players that aren't familiar with each other. Under 163.5. I know I always say play the big totals over. I think this one could be a little bit different here in game one of college hoops because don't let anybody fool you. As our friend Dave Sherman used to say, nobody knows nothing. Might never be more appropriate than game one, night one in college basketball.
I love that. Nobody knows
Wasn't
nothing.
that Dave's line? I was
yeah.
channeling my Dave Sherman. What a great line.
It was a little more
Fanu-
colorful.
Fanouche for
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
Nobody
you know
knows
better.
squadoosh is what he would do for the family shows like Wager Talk Today.
Yeah, exactly. Right as I said that, I was like, it was something a little more graphic, and then I remembered it was like Fanouche, or yeah, exactly.
Nobody
But Andy,
knows
the thing is, Crackman was right. Like you find there's 100 games on the board. You can find one or two spots, but what I highly recommend people doing is don't try to handicap 360 college basketball teams all season. specialize. And if you want to do smaller conferences, that's fine. I personally like the bigger conferences because I think you get a cleaner handicap as far as talent. The problem there, though, is that November and December are really dicey with the big boy conferences because it's all transfer portal. And that's why, I start my college basketball top 25 video in January. We do that after the football season ends.
Smart.
You will not be seeing my college basketball top 25 video in November, folks. I know many of you are asking, but no, that ain't going to happen because it's not fair to you because there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at college football. Wasn't Clemson, weren't they ranked top 5? And now it's like
Penn State was ranked
eligible?
pretty high too, if I recall.
It's like, are these teams going to
Florida
make it to a
State
bowl?
was ranked pretty high a few weeks after they weren't ranked, and now they're not ranked again.
Nobody knows Squadouche. All right, let's talk
really.
NBA tonight. Mavericks versus Rockets. This Rockets team, they had that injury to Van Vliet, and Eamon Thompson done a pretty admirable job here. And you got the Mavericks. We got Rockets as pretty big favorites here tonight. How do you break down this game?
Injuries, we talk injuries, but let's talk about Dallas. Anthony Davis is likely out again tonight. He missed the game against Detroit on Saturday after playing only 7 minutes against the Pacers. And to say that was a big loss would be an understatement. We know he's injury prone, right? But he really started the season strong. He had played 32 minutes or more in each of the first 4 games, rather, I believe. And he'd had double-doubles in each of those games, including over 22 points every time. He went out early in just 7 minutes. He'd already had 4 points, 4 rebounds against Andy Lang's Indiana Pacers. And they won that game 107-105, and we often see that, right? We talk about play the team that's shorthanded. Even in-game it works. It did not work against Detroit, though, on Saturday. They lost by 12. And this is a Dallas team that's going to be up against it. NBA props, if you want to play some Cooper Flag props, he probably is going to do more heavy lifting tonight. And D'Angelo Russell as well. Russell hasn't started a game this season, and he's the team's leading scorer coming in tonight with Davis out. Davis averaging 21 points a game, Russell only 14, Flag at 14, P.J. Washington at 14. So maybe one of those guys' player props over could be worth a look as they'll have to do some more heavy lifting without their star. If you're going to play the side here, I'm not a fan of laying 12 in a low-profile NBA game on Monday night. But once again, I just don't think we're going to necessarily get that NBA injury bounce now that Davis has been out for a couple games. It works better in the first game or even the end game like it did against the Pacers. This line opened 12. It's now up to 12.5, even 13. So a little bit of early money in on Houston. And we've definitely seen money on the under, open 229 down to 225. And I think some of that's probably just based on injury information with Davis out. But, that's kind of funny. Yes, he's the leading scorer, but he's also probably the best defensive player. He gets over 10 rebounds a game, averages almost 1.5 blocks a game, and also leads the team in steals. How crazy is that? Anthony Davis leads the Mavericks in steals. So I would lean Houston in this one tonight. It's a big number. Really want nothing to do with the Mavericks. I think a better option might be some of those secondary scorers, player props over like D'Angelo Russell, Cooper Flag, or P.J. Washington for the Dallas Mavericks tonight on Monday.
Great breakdown, Steve. Yeah, I will throw in there. We cashed on Isaiah Stewart, the backup center for Detroit when they played without Anthony Davis. You can take the opposing centers.
Ooh, I like
against,
that.
Against this Dallas team. I mean, they got Gafford and Washington trying to play center and power forward, and it's a physical mismatch.
So Andy, we got Seguns, the second leading scorer for the Rockets this season, and in his 5 games, he's played more minutes than anybody. He's averaging 36.5 minutes, and he's averaging 22 points a game, 8.5 rebounds. So I like where you're going with that. He's already having a great season. And Steven Adams, I believe, is leading the team with 9.5 rebounds, but he's only playing about 22 minutes a game. So hard not to see one of those guys having bigger games than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. They got out rebounded in that game pretty easily. Someone asked a few seconds. William and Mary, how's your alma mater? What do you have? Any expectations?
So they're playing. This is funny. You said that school you talked about earlier. I think you were making it up. I believe that the one name you gave.
The biblical.
Yeah. Well, the reason I was wondering if it was maybe real, like an hour ago, Andy, I would have thought you were 100% kidding, but now I'm not so certain because William and Mary tonight opens with Georgian Court. Now, I've seen that on the schedule all year, and they are charging – it's one of my season tickets. So I'm like, that's kind of messed up that they're playing a travel team. Like, I figured maybe it was like from the country Georgian, like they're all like ex-college players that played in Croatia or Georgian. But then I see that they're called the Lions. They got a nickname. So, of course, I go down the AI rabbit hole. ChatGPT tells me an hour ago that it is a Division II team in New Jersey. So here we go. And they were like 6-23 last year. But they've actually got one of the best Division II guards in the country. And he's coming back, apparently. I don't know why he didn't go somewhere. So we'll see. But yeah, this is what we're talking about, the uncertainty. I mean, it's like they're playing a team that an hour ago I didn't know existed and didn't know was a real college basketball team. And that's not on the betting rotation, obviously. But yeah, and also big picture, though, I did think of this. Be careful whatever stats you're using for college hoops. And it probably does include that game. Like I think ESPN stats are going to probably include that game tonight against a bad Division II team. How many games does it take to work that out of the mix when they beat them by 50 tonight, right? And then you're looking at 3 more games. So be very careful with the data sources you're using for college hoops. That'll be my betting 101 advice here for Monday, November 3rd, the start of the college basketball season.
All right. What do you have up for clients on this Monday?
Big Monday, 9 NBA games, about 100 college hoops games, Monday Night Football. But don't forget, college football resumes this week as well. A ton of weeknight games. I do standalone videos for all the college weeknight football games for the most part. When I see some edges, let you know which way I'm looking. Always do the NFL prime game on Thursday, 8-2, 80%. Several people afterwards on Thursday said, Steve, you missed it on the Baltimore-Miami game. Well, I didn't really like the game. I said that in the video, but I try to give you something. So instead of 8-1, we're now 8-2. On Thursday Night Prime. And Sunday, Monday Night Football, I do have that standalone Cardinal Cowboy deep dive video with more information for tonight free as well. And also an NBA best bet tonight. Strong NBA best bet for my clients at WagerTalk.com. And right now you can still get some great all-sport, all-access specials. Baseball ended yesterday. And yes, it was yesterday because the game went past midnight into Sunday, East Coast time. Baseball ends yesterday. College hoops starts tonight. That means you can get 4 major sports going every day. College and pro basketball, college and pro football, for one price with an all-sport, all-access, 7 days for $99 or 30 days for just $100 more with promo code SM199. 30 days for $199, SM199. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And, oh, yeah, don't forget about the daily free play on my page with analysis. Check it all out and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM.
Steve Merril, thank you so much. Shout out to your Washington Commanders. Shout out to William and Mary, all the teams.
Your Washington Commanders. Don't you bring that back to Major League. Don't you bring that bad mojo on me, Andy Lang.
Oh, have a great Monday, Steve. Thanks very
Andy.
much. Can't wait to catch up with you. All right, let's do all around the world. While we're doing that, we have a couple things that are up, guys. Our Monday Night Football best bet is up. We are 14-4 on primetime games. I have no idea why the primetime plays in NFL work so well, but they've been working. There was one play that stood out, so that is available. We also have our NBA and NHL props pack that is up. If you got that special that we're still running, it's 7 days for only $69 for my NBA and NHL props. If you got that when we released it on Friday, you are a happy subscriber. We had a monster weekend in NBA and NHL props. So we got 2 NBA and 1 NHL props right now. If you just want a pack, fine. We really highly recommend trying to do this 7 days. We want you to get a full 7 days so you see how we approach the props market and how we can build your bankroll. So 9-3 to start the NBA season. This is my bread and butter. This is what I do. Yeah, thank you, Cody. Yeah, it's the NBA props are freaking awesome, man. This is what we do. This is how we build bankroll. So, all right, let's do some free plays. Let's go all around the world, and we will start with the Monday Night Football game. Zonovan Knight, I'm going rush attempts over 12.5. The Cowboys give up 22.5 rush attempts per game to running backs. And Knight, he only had 14 last game, but Michael Carter had 7 carries for 11 years. Terrible efficiency. I look for them to rely on Zonovan Knight a little bit more tonight. We're going the Pacers, Bucks, AJ Green over 8.5 points. He's gone over this every game this season. He's averaging 28 minutes. He's averaging 7.3 shot attempts. 5 of those are threes. And he's making over 3 3-pointers per game. He's getting over this total just with 3-pointers. So this is a great number at 8.5. And my Pacers, they have so many injuries. It's just not hard for teams to score on them. So Green over 8.5 points. And then we're going to go to NHL, Maple Leafs, and Penguins. Stolarz over 23.5 saves. He's gone over this in 8 out of 9 games. The Penguins, they don't put a ton of shots on goal, but they do put over 26 shots on goal. I think this is 1 or 2 saves a little bit low here. So Stolarz, we probably just keep riding the streak of him going over his over his saves here. All right, let's break down the Lakers here and the Trailblazers. We got a nice game here. Lakers and the Trailblazers. Trailblazers are -3.5 at some books. This Lakers team opened at -1.5. Money has come in to move this to Portland -3. Over-under sits at 236. There's some 236.5s out there. This Trailblazers team has started off the season good. They're 4-2. Lakers are 5-2. Now, the Lakers, the big story is they're off of a back-to-back. 10-point win last night against the Miami Heat. Luka and Reeves played 38 minutes each. They're having to do a lot of the heavy lifting with LeBron out. Ayton is questionable. I'm not sure what his injury is. He didn't play last night, but I'm wondering if they just don't want to play him in back-to-back. So monitor the Ayton injury because that's a big one. Portland, believe it or not, is number 1 in pace. The Lakers are 22nd, so you have a little clash of styles there. Lakers are 10th in offensive efficiency. Makes a lot of sense with Luka and Austin Reeves playing as well as they are. Portland is 21st. I think the biggest surprise about this Portland team is their defense. They're 5th in defensive efficiency. Lakers are only 18th. Now, Portland lost 2 out of their first 3, but they have won 3 straight, and they already beat the Lakers 122-108, but you have to remember, Luka did not play in that game. Holiday has been absolutely fantastic. I don't expect him to keep up his great play for the entire season. He's a little bit older, but at the beginning of the season, he's just been fantastic. Aji has been great for them. Those two were fantastic against the Lakers. If Ayton plays tonight, he has made a big, big difference inside for the Lakers. They are top 4 in opposing centers scoring against them. So Ayton has been a real net positive when he plays. Now, the Lakers are 2nd in the league in field goal percentage. This back-to-back has me a little bit worried, but this is the beginning of the season. I don't think they're going to be that tired. I will happily take the Lakers +3, +3.5. If you're going to play this, look for that 3.5 that's out there on a few books. Even if Ayton doesn't play, I still like them to cover this spread. No opinion on the total, but if you're looking for player props, this was a client play last night. Jake Ravia. We had him over his rebounds. This guy ended up playing 35 minutes last night. He scored 25 points. This guy's getting real minutes. You can look at his points. You can look at his rebounds as a really solid player prop in this game. So we got the Lakers +3, +3.5, and Jake LaRavia to go over his points and his rebounds. All right, it's going to do it for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Great show. Thank you to Gianni. Thank you to Bill. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Dan, as always. And thank you to you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the like button. It really helps us out. Leave us a comment. Tell us what your best bet is for tonight in the comment section. Buckle up. Tomorrow is $5 Tuesday. We're going to have a locked and loaded show. Going to get some more winners out to everyone. So good luck on your college basketball bets. Good luck on Monday Night Football, NBA, NHL, loaded slate. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Good luck tonight. Take care.